My name is Jeremy Marconi. My story is that I am one of three brothers who came from a very loving home, a single parent household. I stayed with my mom. I enjoyed very much being with my brothers and my family, and especially baseball. All three of us played, and we were very good, and so was I. I got sick when I was in fifth grade with an autoimmune disease that just is very debilitating at that time because the doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. It took a toll on my childhood, middle school, early high school years in terms of what it did to me and the side effects from medications and just affecting my overall being, you know. It's true, I would be 15, 16 years old, but inside my body would think I was 11. So I'm in high school and in a locker room surrounded by all these kids going through puberty and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm still a 10-year-old, so nothing's changing. And it was just really embarrassing. And that led to a lot of bullying, almost every single day. You know, I couldn't get away from it. And I wasn't one to tell on people. So I just kept it all in till I don't remember exactly what happened, but I finally told someone, you know, to get it to stop. It was really didn't stop till I was late junior, senior in high school when I was finally the top dog and the medication started to work and I was finally starting to go through my changes of my own where I wasn't self-conscious about things anymore. I wanted to be a sheriff, so I was at MCC for criminal justice. I was a trainee with the Monroe County Sheriff's Department, and then some issues had happened and I moved to Carolina. Carolina was where everything started with my addiction. I lived with my brother Brian and I worked at Lowe's Home Improvement. I was offered something by a coworker and I figured, you know, why not? You know, I wasn't really afraid to try anything really. You know, smoked pot here and there in high school, so I figured, you know, why not try this? And I liked it. And for a while, it was under control, actually. I know that's like, you know, you never say that with addiction, but it really wasn't that yet. You know, a couple weeks to go by and he'd be like, yo, can you get that again? Like, I really like that. And I'd do it, and I'd only do it on the weekends, and I'd only get like, you know, 1 or 2 pills, you know. And it went on like that for a while. Just every other weekend, you know, things like that, where it wasn't bad. Didn't take over my life. It didn't, if I couldn't get it, I couldn't get it, and I didn't care. Fast forward 2 years at Lowe's, I was tired of working there, tired of where the direction of my life was going. It wasn't about, you know, being better than. I just truly felt that I was not put on this earth to work the rest of my life at Lowe's Home Improvement. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. And there's nothing wrong with working there either. I met great people and honest, hardworking, and it gave me dental, 401k, health. It was a great place. I just felt I was destined for something more. So I went back to college. I got into the 4-year university at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. The program I was accepted into was their kinesiology program, top 50 in the country. So I got a very good education. And during my time there at school, I was doing drugs there as well. No heroin yet, no cocaine. No heroin, no cocaine or anything, but it would still be pills every now and then. And I'm 23, 24, but it's the one time when, you know, the pills weren't available. And my buddy says, well, we have this. It was regular powdered heroin. I said, dude, I can't do that. There's no way. I like doing this and I dabble here and there, but I can't cross that line. But I took it and I held on to it in my place and I literally just kept staring at it and I said, I can't. I called the kid back up. I said, you need to take this back. I don't care if you don't want to give me my money back. I'm not doing it. Gave it back to him. And I waited for when pills became available. They did. Fast forward again, another couple months, the pills were scarce. And heroin was available again. But this second time, I didn't deny it. I took it. It was tar heroin, which you smoke. And, once that happened, I didn't care if heroin was the only thing that was available. I'd be okay with doing it since I've already tried it once and nothing happened. I didn't die. No one got hurt. I was willing to do it again, and I did. But even then, I wasn't out of control with it. It wasn't until my senior year, fall of 2016, going into the spring of 2017, my graduating year at UNCC, I had an off-campus apartment with a buddy of mine, and I got introduced to a dealer. And from there, that's when it got bad. Because I would get it at night, and I would say, okay, I'm only doing it at night. I'm never going to do it during the day, never during classes. And I stayed true to that for a while, maybe like a month. But then it was like a random Tuesday. I said, you know what? I've only got one class today. I can do a little bit this morning. And those little bits turned it into a Tuesday, that turns into now Wednesday, that turns into now doing it every single day. And I was an infant in this. So I didn't know about withdrawal. I didn't know about physical dependence. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't understand how quickly it can happen. I thought like you had to be on a medication for like 6 months to develop like a physical addiction to it. And it's one random night when I don't have anything and I wake up in the middle of the night with awful sweats. My whole body is tingling and I am shaking, sweating, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Do I have pneumonia? Like, is this? And then it hit me. This must be what withdrawal is. And that night taught me a horrible lesson. And that was the lesson of I can never again go without this. And the stuff that I had down there was so potent, so strong, I needed about every 4 hours. Because I would start to go through the worst withdrawal. And I still maintain that the withdrawal I felt I have never had a withdrawal that bad than what happened on that stuff. I started going to my internship under the influence, and I had an internship at a very prominent, prestigious, private facility for kids. Not going to say the name of the university, but it was K through 12, and I was a strength and conditioning coach there. And I worked for a guy who was very well respected. You know, he was a former strength and conditioning coach of the Carolina Panthers. And he respected me, and I was blowing it. You know, it was every day, every night. I could barely keep my eyes open. There was one day where I was just constantly nodding, and the kids knew it. The teachers there knew it. The strength and conditioning coach knew it, but they didn't know what was going on. They just asked me about it the next day. They were like, hey, were you okay yesterday? I go, I know, I'm sorry. I was just really sick and I thought I could make it through the day. I didn't want to let you guys down and not feel like you could count on me to be here. And they just said, hey, with respect, we appreciate that, but we have athletes here that you can't get sick. So if that happens again, just let us know. It's not a big deal, but you can't come in. I said, no problem. And I never let it get to the point where I was still going to use there. That wasn't going to stop me. But I just tried to do very small doses to not let it get out of hand. And if you fast forward through the internship, I made it through, and it's my graduation weekend, and I'm in rough shape. I look the part, minus some track marks from shooting, because I wasn't shooting it then. I looked the part, and everyone knew something was going on. They just didn't know what. And I show up to my college graduation party under the influence, and my father knew it immediately. You know, I go up to him and give him a hug. He leaves and goes up to my brother. Your brother is high as an effing kite right now. You need to get him out of here. And my brother just came out to me. He goes, it's my one brother, Mike. He knew what was going on. He goes, yo, man, you overshot it today. Dad knows you need to keep a low profile. Try not to talk to a lot of people. And when you do, keep it short and succinct. I said, shit, okay, man. And lo and behold, when the whole night was over, everyone was asking my brother, Brian, who threw the party, what was going on with Jeremy. There was something wrong with him. We just don't know what. 2 days later, I'm at my apartment. My mom's there because she stayed with me during that whole graduation weekend. I take off to go meet my dealer. She starts texting me and calling me. I don't answer. I finally come back, and there's basically an intervention waiting for me. You know, it's my two brothers, my father, and my mother. And I'm in my room. They're basically telling me what's going on, what they feel. And to keep it short, my father basically says, here's what's going on. You are either going to take the help, you are going to come with your mother and I, and we're going to bring you to New York, and you're going to go get help, or we all leave and you don't see us again. Now, at this point, my mother's crying. She's hysterical, going, wait, no, stop, that's too much. And my father goes, no, stop. This is what we're doing. I think my mom steps out of the room at one point. But I was so scared at that point. I didn't know what to do and what was going on, but I knew I was running out of money and running out of options. My roommate knew, and he was as anti-drug as can be. So I said, okay, I'll go. So they literally pack up the car in like a half hour, pack up my dog, and we drive straight through, stopping for some food, drive straight through from Carolina to New York, to go to a place called Loyola. It's in Bath, New York. They only did detox at that time, but that's where I went. And they did a detox for 6 days, and I went to outpatient at Unity. And for a while, I kept it under control until I felt I didn't need it. Stopped listening to people. And I went on another run in fall of 2017. And I did it for a year. Yep, I did it for a year. And that summer of 2018, I went to a private facility, Caron Treatment Centers. And I didn't, again, listen to some people about staying there longer. I felt I had it good this time. Worst decision I ever made, I still say to this day, about not staying there. I came out, didn't last long, and then I went on another run. And this last run was the worst it could be of the things I was doing to feed my habit and how everything was going. Till finally, I went to a place in October of last year called St. Joe's. treatment centers in Saranac Lake. And that treatment there, with everything that and how tired I was of fighting and wanting to be different and change, that stuck with me. And we're now 14 months later. It's gonna sound crazy, my favorite times, because I was always a good old boy child, never really got in trouble, never did anything, quote unquote dangerous or whatever as a kid, stupid things that kids are supposed to do and I never really did any of that stuff. I mean, yeah, I would sneak out here or there, but I'd sneak out and walk to Wegmans, My favorite parts was the danger, because that was a high in itself. Getting in the car, racing over to the streets, hoping to God no cop comes by and gets me in the act or whatever. It's even going to bad neighborhoods where I don't even belong. It was all a rush. Going behind people's backs, doing something highly illegal, that was all just a little rush in itself. The act of going there, getting it, setting up my kit, and that's honestly that way for a lot of people. Believe me, I'm not the only one who's going to know if they see this when I'm talking about. We're setting it all up, and then, you get the needle ready, you do it, and then even it's another high in itself when you see the blood come into the needle and then do your thing. But those, in my mind, that was the only payoff, really, is doing that stuff. The lowest points in addiction is that when you're eventually down that rabbit hole, you're soulless. You don't care about anything. You don't care about anyone. Even people you've been with your whole life. If you're married, it'd be your wife. You wouldn't care anymore. Or your husband. You don't care what they think. You don't care what you do to them. You're just a walking zombie with one mission every single day. Get my money, get my drugs, and use them. And that's an that soullessness leads to the things you do to fund your habit, to doing it. It's all rolled up into one thing of just being soulless, and that is truly the worst time.
Yeah, we learned about that in class, how it kind of rewires your brain to just go for that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And nothing else, so everything else just kind of takes it back.
Yeah, you have a high in your brain, in your mind, you have a hierarchy. You have a list of what you need to survive, water, food, sex, whatever it may be. Some lists can be different, but their basics are on there of breathing, food, water. You get further enough down in that rabbit hole and your brain's rewiring, all that drops and drugs takes the front seat. And that leads to you not taking care of yourself, not showering, brushing your teeth, not eating, drink. You don't care about any of that stuff because you only have one thing in mind.
What has recovery been like for you? What was rehab like?
Rehab was the best thing to happen to me, but the hardest. I remember when I first got there, my mom was driving as fast as she could, within reason, to get me there, just because I finally looked the part, track marks all over my arm. I lost about 25 pounds, could see my cheekbones. My skin was pale and blue, and I was dirty. And within the first couple of days, I already wanted to leave. I was there for maybe a day, and I already told the counselor, I said, look, I need to call my mom. I want to leave. This just isn't working. Call my mom. And I called her. I said, Mom, I want to go. I can't do this. I don't feel well. And part of the whole thing wanting to leave, you're physically not feeling well. You're still going through withdrawal, so you feel like absolute just garbage. You are tired. And in your mind, there's only one cure, and you want the cure. But she wouldn't come get me. Called my father. He wouldn't do it. No one was going to come get me. The only option I had was to, when you go to those places, insurance pays for your way home if you want. So you can take a bus and get home. But my mom said I was not going to have a place to come home to if I came home. So I said, fine, I'll stay. And I was so mad. I quote unquote punished my mom by not calling her with your 2 phone calls you have a week. You know, we kind of laugh about that now, but I was like, I'm not calling her. Forget that. Gonna leave me here. But the counselor said something very poignant, and it is true, that if you just stick this out, you'll feel better in a couple days, and you need to make some friends. You need to develop a connection. Because, and this is true, the opposite of addiction isn't using. The opposite of addiction is connection. And when you develop connections to friends there and other people, it gives you a reason to stay. It makes you feel more comfortable. You enjoy seeing those people every day, laughing with them, crying with them, talking about things where you want to stay. You want to get better. You don't want to leave those people behind. You want to be with them too. And I stayed, and I was so happy I did. I would constantly tell the counselor I talked to, thanks for convincing me to stay. Thanks for doing that. And it was great. And I'm truly glad I did it. I am not, quote unquote, technically affiliated with any connections yet. My goal is to be affiliated. I am in close contact with Sheriff Favata, who takes people to speak at schools and goes to knock on doors of people who have just overdosed to try to convince them to seek treatment. So, and we agreed to start this in January to start doing some work with him. So I can confidently say that I will be working with Sheriff Favata to be part of those movements. I met Sheriff Favata because I had overdosed the night before. I was upstairs in my room. It was a normal day, as normal as it could be. And I do my thing. And next thing I know, I'm waking up surrounded by EMTs, hooked up to all the stuff. They're kind of smacking me in the face like this, like, yo, Jeremy, come back to us, come back, come on. Well, what had happened was I obviously just passed out, collapsed on the floor. And my mom, just out of I don't know what, just happened to call my name, and I wasn't responding. So she goes up there, and there I am, lifeless on the floor. Lips blue, skin pale, clammy, that real palish color. And now I obviously wasn't awake or conscious, but I know my mother. And I know the love she has for me. It is not possible for a human being to love someone more. It is not possible for her to love someone else more than me. So I'm sure she became hysterical. Rushed to go get the Narcan that we have. tears, anxiety, fear, all rolled up into one. She calls 911. My dog is barking like crazy. So she's got to get the dog out of the room because she knows the cops are going to be on their way. And she's on the phone with 911. You know, my son overdosed. And they're telling her what to do and say, you know, put the phone near his mouth, put the phone on his chest. And they're saying, okay, ma'am, that's the death gargle. So I'm sure as soon as she heard that, it became even worse, the anxiety, the fear, and the tears. So now she's giving her own son CPR. She administers the Narcan. It's not working. EMTs finally arrive. They had to kick her out of the room because my heart was down to 3 beats a minute. And they told her very bluntly, we don't know if he's going to come out of this. So she's downstairs in absolute, just, you know, one of those. And I came to. I don't know how. Someone must be looking out for me somewhere, because I am very lucky to be here. We'll just say that. And the next day, Sheriff Favata comes knocking at the door. And I've shared this before. When I looked out the window to see who it was and I see the sheriff car, I'm like, oh shit. What did I do now? Is there a warrant for my arrest that I don't know about? Negativity. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this today. I ain't going to be taken away and thrown in a cell and be forced to go through withdrawal where they don't care about me. I was about to book it out the back door. But I slowed down. And I'm like, okay, just think rationally, Jeremy. You have not gotten any tickets. The one thing you got busted for in the summer, you're working on, so it wouldn't be a warrant for that. Go answer the door. And so I did. And he introduced himself. You know, I'm Mike Favata. I'm head of the Heroin Task Force. We understand you overdosed last night. We apologize and we shoulder some of that responsibility for not getting that product off the street. I said, that's very nice of you, but you don't have to shoulder anything. You know, that was my doing. Came in, talked to me. I called my mom, said, there's a sheriff here. You need to get back here. It's nothing negative, but he just wants to talk to you. So she comes back. He basically explains who he is and what he does, that he goes to knock on doors with people that overdose and try to convince them to go to treatment, that he would take me to Helio Health off a university, and from there they would help me find a detox if I need it, find the place that's right for me, and get me into treatment, providing I want the help. And I took the help. If Sheriff Favata was watching this right now, I'd first just like to say thank you. Who has ever heard of a police officer, a sheriff doing that? Especially when our justice system is still centered around crime and punishment, not forgiveness and help. That's a magnanimous individual trying to change the system. Like, not just help a few kids and get them into, like, trying to change how you respond to drug calls, how you respond to people busted with drugs, and getting them help, not punishing them, not throwing them in the cell, just leaving them there, which is cruel and unusual punishment, especially if they go through withdrawal. But changing the stigma of that behind these lost souls, there is a person underneath that is worth knowing, that is worthy of life, happiness, pursuing their dreams and living the best versions of themselves. And I would just tell him to don't stop. Don't let relapses, failures, the people that you're searching for but can't find that are still out there suffering, don't let that stop you, jade you. Understand that they're hurting so bad, and they are in such a bad way, in such a bad mental state they don't know how to deal with, and they are just truly scared. Even if it's help that they'd be getting, they are scared. Any thoughts of wisdom, insights that I have? Number one, to the judicial system with drug court, relapsing is not a crime. Because right now, if you're in drug court and you have a relapse, depending on how you handle it, they can revoke what's going on and take it all away and send you to jail. Relapsing is unfortunately part of the process. It's how you respond to the relapse that can make or break someone's recovery, that can change someone's recovery. Number two, for those out there still suffering, the help is out there. It's not easy. There's an old saying, if it was easy, everyone would do it. But on the other side, it is so much better. It is a life worth living. It's a life of love, family, a life of trust, integrity that you get back. It's responsibilities. It's living. Because what they're doing right now isn't living. They're existing. That's what I was doing, and I understand. To the kid that's in rehab right now on their first day, or in the audience, I know what you're feeling, and I know how scared you are. It's so easy to just cut bait, run, and go out there and use because you want to end the pain, the physical pain, the mental pain. But if you put in that work, if you stick out that first week, when you start to physically feel better and the physical addiction to the drug is gone, you will mentally, with each passing day, whether it's 1%, 0.5%, will get better. And you don't have to wake up with the chase in mind of how am I going to get it? Where am I going to get money? Who's got it right now? Where am I going to go? ... That full-time job of being an addict is over. And you can work on being you, the person that everyone loves and wants to be around. Because underneath all of that, underneath the addict, 99% of the time, there's an amazing human being who's intelligent, who has things to offer to the world. And you want to get that out of them, and you want to get it out of yourself. I know you're tired. I know you are tired of living the life you are living, because it is it's a full-time job plus overtime. And you want to get out of that. And that's the way.